Welcome to InCabin from the creators of AutoSens. InCabin connects the global community of automotive interior specialists working on in-cabin safety, comfort, and productivity solutions through industry-leading events and knowledge sharing. One such expert is Matt Remijn, VP of Product for Smart Eye. And Matt, welcome to AutoSens. Good to see you, friend.
Hi, Carl. It's nice to be on. Thanks for inviting me.
Matt, let's start with a two-part question here. So first, just in general, what factors are driving this movement and this development in the industry towards software-defined vehicles? And then second to that, how is Smart Eye adapting to these changes?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So I think from our perspective, what we're seeing is there's a big push on the OEM side to own the digital footprint within the vehicle. So we think that's a good thing, right? That's their space. They should own that. So I think in part what is driving that is twofold. One of them is consumer expectations. So everybody has gotten used to the smartphone and how it interacts, and so that expectation is shifting towards a car. Right? We have big screens in the car, and we want to have the same look and feel, same experience in the vehicle. The second one is I think also tied to both the consumer and the OEM themselves, and that is like the value stream. So adding additional value to both the vehicle and the user experience. So you launch a vehicle, as technology evolves, new software comes out, you can update it, add new productivity features, new entertainment features, and I think that's a win for the customer, the end customer. As far as how is Smart Eye adapting these changes, this is great. So Smart Eye at its roots and its DNA is a software development company. We've spent many years developing algorithms. We're experts at data collection and annotation. We do simulation, validation, and all the things related to it. But along the way, we've had to pick up a lot of expertise in areas peripheral or similar to along the lines of software development, and those include deep understanding of optics and camera designs, illumination, so infrared illumination in the vehicle. We also, along the way, have developed a lot of insights into human physiology and human factors. So how does the driver interact with something? How does the occupant interact with a particular feature, et cetera? And as also the safety and cybersecurity that continues to grow as well. So I would say we're very well positioned for this. We're actually really excited for this to happen, and looking forward to working with our customers, to support.
Matt, let's stay with this software-defined vehicles theme for a moment. How has this movement towards SDVs, software-defined vehicles, how has it reshaped the traditional automotive supply chain and the expectations for software suppliers like yourself for Smart Eye?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, I think there's been tied to the shift to digital. There's a shift in workforce initially from in the automotive supply chain. So you've gone from electromechanical type of a vehicle more towards a software-defined vehicle. So the engineering resources required to do that has changed. So that's one big element. Another element is to sort of support this whole shift. We've gone from a distributed computing architecture to centralized computing. And what's interesting is the OEMs have been deeply involved in the software architecture. They're involved with defining the actual processing platform, the requirements on that. So that's a pretty unique and interesting change. The OEMs are also acting as software integrators now, right? So, they're taking in a deeper role in how all these different things come together. And they're developing unique insights about how a system works. So, big difference, big change there. As far as how does it affect us, as we stated in the earlier question, I think it's right up our alley. It's exactly what we're primed for. We have all this ecosystem knowledge, all these different expertise in all these different areas, and it's perfectly set up for exactly that.
Matt, what are some of the opportunities right now for OEMs just in terms of, say, software innovation, integration, and then product development? What's your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah. So first off, I think it's a really good thing that the OEMs own the architecture. It's their product, it's their innovation with obviously contribution from all the suppliers. But so at a very high level, I think that's a great starting point. It's like the foundation for innovation. Um, as they work through these integration cycles, they're going to develop a deeper understanding for what their partners share and deliver to them, right? And by doing so, I actually think they're going to be able to create more unique use cases. They'll have better implementations, and as well, I think it'll help drive better innovation back towards the suppliers, right? We get direct feedback from an OEM about how they plan to use it, how their users experience it, and then we can, as suppliers, we can do a better job of implementing, our solutions too. So I think it's a great shift.
Speaking with Matt Remijn, VP of Product for SmartEye, talking a lot here about software-defined vehicles. Matt, from your perspective, from SmartEye's perspective, what challenges do SDVs present for the industry today?
Yeah, so like anything that's that's a very complex system, it's going to have a fair number of challenges. So, for an example, the modern car has more software running in it than a modern airplane, right? So it's a very complex system, millions of lines of code. Along with that can come, bugs and unexpected behavior. So that could become an issue. I think there's as we try to emulate the phone more and more, there's going to be this fine balance between user experience and functionality, right? We're not a phone, we're a vehicle. We actually drive in the vehicle. So it's not the same, right? But at the same time, we still have to take user experience very heavily into the picture. So if, recently there's been a shift away from buttons on the screen and going back to tactile buttons because that didn't work as well, right? So we'll learn along the way, right? Also, cybersecurity is going to continue to be a thing. It's going to be a challenge. The more software, the more threat vectors will be possible. And also, the cars are very connected, so we have to be very conscientious of personal privacy, customer data, and stuff like that moving around. So those are all challenges I think will exist and continue to exist for the near term. But as the automotive industry has shown us, it will conquer it, it will optimize and make it efficient.
Let's go from the consumer perspective, talking about the user experience, and maybe just that example of, the digital buttons to the actual physical buttons. From a consumer perspective, how do you see this transition to software-defined vehicles, maybe either enhancing the driving experience or the comfort experience or just the overall functionality of the vehicle?
Yeah. So we're actually very excited about this because, as we mentioned earlier on, the systems are now side by side, and you have direct access to signals that we didn't have before, right? So in the past, a system was a dedicated function; it consumed its own inputs in its own data, and then it produced outputs, and that's all it knew of its little world. Now we're moving towards a very interactive or interconnected world in these domain controllers. So you might be hosting an ADAS system, you might be hosting analog brake system, and a DMS and an OMS, all these things in the same system. Well, that having those all co-located allow you to have greater context of the world around you. So you have now, if you're looking from the perspective of a driver monitoring system, you have context now, you have access to a context now of the vehicle speed, for example, or the ADAS system. I can understand that there's a pedestrian out there. I can understand that the driver's at a stop sign and they're making a right-hand turn. So maybe if they're looking left, I don't want to throw a warning in that case. But in other cases, looking left while they're driving quickly, we do want to throw a warning. So I think longer term, it'll eventually make the user experience significantly better as these systems come together. And I think the signals and the warnings will be much more robust. They'll be more naturalistic. They'll understand how the driver is interacting with the environment. So I think it's a good thing. It's a great thing.
Matt, I appreciate you being a good sport because I've asked a dozen questions here about software-defined vehicles. So thanks for hanging with me here. These are my last questions about software-defined vehicles, I promise. So, but my last question is going to be a two-parter. So,
Okay.
um, how do you see the long-term vision in the software-defined vehicle space? So when it comes to this SDV change, what's the long-term vision in the space? And then how do you see companies evolving further as vehicles become increasingly reliant there on software? So two-part questions. What's the long-term vision for SDVs? And then how do you see software companies' roles evolving further as we become increasingly reliant on software?
Yeah. So from our corner of the world or our worldview, we're going through the sort of revolution right now, right? And the OEMs are launching vehicles currently, and they're doing a great job of it. So as I said earlier, the automotive industry is going to do what it does best. It's going to optimize, it's going to improve, and it will become extremely efficient. I think initially we'll focus on vehicle operation, safety, all those sorts of things that we have been the mainstay of vehicle operations until now. But then as we go towards the future, I think we're going to start looking at more occupant convenience, comfort, productivity, and things like that. Longer term, I think that as the levels of automation increase, if we get to L5, the driver then becomes an occupant. You apply the same things to the driver now that they're no longer a driver, right? So I think that's what we'll see. We'll see entertainment, we'll see productivity features, we'll see comfort. I think all those things will become more and more mainstay long term. And as far as how do software companies continue to evolve? I think it's staying efficient, staying innovative, ensuring that we're offering the best we can to the market, making sure we're solving problems they want, and helping them solve problems together, being collaborative. So,
speaking with Matt Remijn, VP of Product for SmartEye, doing a deep dive on software-defined vehicles. Matt, thank you for being with us, sharing your expertise and your thought leadership on this topic of software-defined vehicles. We are looking forward to seeing you in Barcelona for AutoSens Europe 2024, October 8th through the 10th. I hope we get a chance, though, real soon, Matt, to do an interview like this again and maybe discuss what's happening with software-defined vehicles at that time. But at least as far as today goes, thank you for being here, friend.
thanks, Carl.
For more information on Emotion 3D and to find out more about our upcoming events, see the links in the description. And for more in-depth interviews like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel and join the InCabin community on LinkedIn. In Detroit, on behalf of InCabin, I'm Carl Anthony.